Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Wake the Future. So, this week's episode is going to be kind of a follow up to last week's episode. And for those of you who joined us last week, you know that we had a more kind of personal episode where we talked about the Knicks winning the championship and what that meant for us as a
Mostly you.
family. For me, sure, certainly. For us as a family, for our son, and for the city of New York. So, we wanted to follow it up with something similarly personal and fun this week.
Yeah, and then we just had Father's Day,
Yep.
obviously Mother's Day, but most recently Father's Day. And it also just kind of felt like a really good opportunity for us to revisit our why. We had Father's Day, and then a few days prior, we kind of spur of the moment, got in the car right after our son's Little League game, drove to New York, went to the parade. You were within like arm's distance of Patrick Ewing, and right, like you were absolutely losing your mind. Like young
was
version of
epic.
you was just like beyond.
Oh, young version of me was just beaming in there. You know, I might be a grizzled, middle-aged man, but the kid in me was losing my mind there. And you know what's amazing is that, you know, I wasn't able to experience anything like this with the Knicks or any of my teams when I was a kid. So to be able to do
Yeah.
this with and for our son, who's 9, is remarkable.
Even for like, it was wild. Like our son was able to like be inches away from Brunson holding the championship trophy. OG signed his hat and his jersey. We're like, this is so effing cool. Then a few days later, we had Father's Day. And then the big thing that we are really gearing up for this week is the kind of drumroll launch of our Wake the Future website. So that will be in the comments below. So definitely you're going to be hearing way more about that. But with all of these things kind of bubbling up for us personally, again, we just thought it was a really good opportunity to revisit why we are doing Wake the Future in the first place.
Absolutely. And as Erica said, we're really excited this week because, you know, launching our YouTube channel in a way was kind of a soft launch. It was a way for us to start building an archive of content that frankly has no expiration date. So all of these videos are going to stay up there for a very long time. And more than anything, we were building towards launching our website and really relaunching what we're doing and who we are.
Yeah.
And so it's a big week. It's a big week for that. It's a big week personally because we got to go to the parade. Erica understated it. I mean, our son was able to touch the Larry O'Brien NBA champion trophy. He got his gear signed by OG Anunoby, as she said. We could smell Jalen Brunson. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was delightful.
Unbelievable. It was delightful. So many celebrities, so many great alumni and players. It was fantastic. So as we come off the heels of that, and of course it was Father's Day, and very recently it was Mother's Day. I don't want that to get lost in all of this.
Oh no, it should never get lost in anything.
We thought about, we wanted to revisit today, as Erica said, our why. What is our mission? Why are we doing Wake the Future? And I think it all comes full circle because of these recent kind of events and milestones in our lives. And, you know, in last week's episode, for anyone who watched it, about the Knicks championship, we were having fun with something that meant a lot to us, but we also talked about how elements of that really tapped in to where we see or hope to see the future of humanity going in a technological age. Analog experiences, people in large quantities getting together and celebrating things together and rejoicing, and cross-generational celebrations and play and all of it. It was an amazing experience. And so here we are, and we are truly thinking about and reflecting on why we're doing Wake the Future.
The whole crux of it, even going back to the very beginning, way before our first video, it was based around the question of what is the impact of the future going to be, not just on me individually, but for my family. And it's something that we think about all the time. It's something that we think more and more about, especially when it comes to the whole idea of, are conversations about the future happening where they need to be? And we were struggling because we were having conversations about the future solely with a lot of kind of senior level decision makers, and that is great. But if that doesn't have a trickle down effect and or really start from the bottom up, that then became so much of our why. How to then have the conversations about the future that matter, how to ask the questions about the future that are going to matter, and not just have it be housed within the very few, right, that are decision makers or who are guiding the technology, but really how can we have the conversations at both our actual physical kitchen table, but the metaphorical kitchen table, so that we are having conversations as a family, identifying the things that are going to matter long term and even short term, like in our day-to-day lives. Are we actually questioning the output of AI? Are we actually thinking about and even imagining around some of the jobs that we cannot even begin to fathom. And that really became our why, which was to almost, kind of in a nerdy way to say it, like democratize access to the future, not just have it be a whole bunch of talking head futurists talking at people,
Right.
but to really be like, how can we spur meaningful conversations and dialogues?
The real driver behind this is our son. And not just him individually, but the fact that what he represents.
Yeah.
He's our child, he's our future, he's our legacy. So our consideration set for all these things changed the day he was born. And I don't ever want to exclude anyone from our videos and our content who may not have children, because it's equally important to them. It's just that everyone has to find their own frame. What matters to them and why. For us, it's cultivating the future for that next generation. And it's not just him, but it's his whole cohort. It's all Gen Alpha, all Gen Z, everyone coming up behind them. It's an idea of stewardship. It's an idea of responsibility. And, you know, I call it agnostic. I am very opinionated in positive and negative ways about elements of technology. I kind of net out to be kind of right in the middle. And so to your point, what we're trying to do here, I think you and I each approach this from slightly different perspectives personally, but we come together. I always like to say, we come together like Voltron. You always say it's about asking the right questions, and I love that. It's one of my favorite things that you talk about is the future is going to be about asking the right questions, because we can't have all the answers no matter how much data there is. I firmly believe that the future is also about having common sense. And it's about being very pragmatic as we look at these things and maybe shaking people and waking them up a little bit to what the reality actually is. So if you apply common sense and you ask the right questions, you can kind of get to a place where we're trying to go with all of you. And I think it's really, really cool. So we're kind of in the beginning stages of getting there. And again, I think it's just a perfect time to revisit this why, kind of our mission statement, because we are launching our website this week. So aside from where we are personally and in our journey launching Wake the Future, this is also an important time to reinforce what our message is and kind of why we're doing this, because Elon Musk recently was identified as being the world's first trillionaire, you know? And what's interesting is he's not a liquid trillionaire. It's not like he's sitting on $1 trillion in cash. And people have very polarized, you know, opinions about Elon Musk and other billionaires, now trillionaires like him. But what it signals is that we are in a societal shift, that we are in a world where there are trillionaires and all of the technology that underpins those businesses. And so we enter this era of artificial intelligence, and we have to always do a really careful audit of what's happening, what does it mean for us as people, and you really were instrumental in identifying that we have to have the cognitive and mental fitness and agility to respond to this technological era we're in.
Well, and I think one of the things that like lends a lot of urgency to this conversation is the fact that, yes, you have Elon Musk, then you have a lot of the other kind of movers and shapers of the technology. Someone even like Peter Thiel. You have the Jensen Huangs. You have all of these people. It's like you can count them on two hands, right? And like they are steering us into a future where it is not only very tech driven, but it's almost like they want the singularity to occur. It's like when you hear about artificial general intelligence.
Well, and pull back
like,
for a second, not to interrupt you, but for people watching this who may not know what that means, what is the singularity?
Yes, essentially superhumanity, right? It's where machine intelligence exceeds and surpasses human intelligence. And I think for a lot of them, that is the goal. So without going into the sci-fi future or going kind of into the rabbit hole for a lot of people, I think the spotlight then has to be on the agency piece, which is why I think this is so critical and really a huge motivation for me in having these conversations for the next generation, because there are not going to be traditional safety nets. There are going to be absolutely no guarantees in the economy that I think for a lot of people that is really frightening, especially because the way that like AI is developing and the trajectory right now is regardless of human labor. Like humans are almost seen as disposable for a lot of people. You talk about Elon Musk as the world's first trillionaire. Like he's not giving each person on the planet $1 billion, right? Like his sight is set on eventually going to Mars. Like the whole goal of this is almost interplanetary. So when we pull it back down to the individual level, it's like for each one of us individually, and then as stewards of our family's future, it's now like, right, you and I have talked about this going back to the books we read as kids. It is so much more choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it is. And you know, in an earlier episode, I posited the question whether or not we as humans behave more like we consider humans to behave, with full will and full agency and autonomy and self-determination, or if many of us operate like ants, and that we're part of an ant colony, and that we fulfill roles, including our work and our jobs and our careers, that sort of satisfy what we need to do as a colony, but they don't lead to self-actualization. So we're at a tipping point right now. I think there are so many amazing things that are happening right now. I think that we are embarking on an era of unprecedented exploration, discovery when it comes to healthcare, genetics, material science. I mean, there's so much scientific breakthrough about to happen because of AI. It's remarkable. And when you usher in quantum computing, which is on the doorstep. But we as a species have not had enough time, and we do not have enough time right now to fully adapt to all of this, especially when it comes to work. So I think it requires people like us, not just us. It's not like we're that special, but I think you and I have a particular interest, and we've been working in this field long enough to be able to facilitate these conversations. And you take us and layer us in there with hundreds or thousands of other people trying to have similar conversations, and we can advance the ball. And it is a tug of war. We use tug of war to talk about the fact that as you look out in the world today, so much has changed. In fact, everything has changed when you think about technology and AI, yet nothing has changed at all. And it's the biggest contradiction, because you look around and most of what you're doing and how you do it doesn't feel different than it might have 10 years ago or even 50 years ago, yet it is fundamentally different, and we have to think about it that way.
So let's go back to a word that you mentioned from my guy Maslow.
My buddy Abe, right? Good old Abe.
Yes. So we studied him in psychology and self-actualization, right? That was the pinnacle. It was like when all of your other biological needs were taken care of, then you could self-actualize. When it's like you had foods, you know that my needs are very strong. If I don't eat, I don't sleep. If I'm not hydrated and caffeinated, like forget about it.
Oh, done.
I cannot self-actualize if all of those things.
If tissue needs are not met, there will never be self-actualization.
Very strong.
Think of Medusa in.
That's not Medusa. Okay. So, but that again is the crux of agency and identity.
Right.
Is like what facets of ourselves are so sacrosanct that we will do whatever it takes to preserve them. That it's like if AI comes, or we ever have a point of the singularity, which some people say could be in 15 years, some say 50, and some are like, that's never going to happen. But what parts of ourselves do we want to preserve? And then what parts of ourselves do we tell our children, like, this is what you need to double down on? Right. And I even think, listen to the little podcast that we listened to today. So our son has 2 more days of school left. We were sent a podcast from his teacher. He and another friend basically had like a little 3rd grade debate, snowboarding versus skiing. Our son did snowboarding, very appropriate. But I thought to myself in listening to this, outside of how cute it was, is the fact that like they're not using a lot of technology to do this. They are trying to engage in the art of debate, which in our philosophy episode, I was banging that drum of the ancient art of debate and rhetoric. And while it was the 3rd grade version, I was like, how great that they are able to engage in something like this.
And I love that. I love the fact, and I hope this is happening in more schools all over the place. They're having kids as young as 2nd and 3rd grade engage in debate so that they can start to form arguments, cogent arguments about topics that matter to them. This goes to the heart again of what we're doing at Wake the Future, which is having these conversations in very practical terms. Okay, we could sit here and talk big picture about the theoretical. And a lot of people in our field right now, and this is one of the things, frankly, that sticks in my craw a little bit. And Erica knows this. She has to hear me go on about this all the time. But as a 2nd-generation futurist, and as 2 people who've cut our teeth in this field for 20 years, to see what's happened in our space is both exciting and also kind of like, it's exciting because so many more people want to get involved in what we do. So many more people want to study the future. They think it's cool. And of course, it is cool. The problem is that so many people are flooding in now. There's no credentialing, there's no qualification per se. So what's happening is you have a lot of people coming in and they're using a lot of jargon, they're using a lot of theoretical terms, and they're saying a lot of fancy things. But ultimately, it's not, like to say it again, I said it a few minutes ago, it's not advancing the ball. So you and I are not going to spend a lot of time on these videos and in anything we do at Wake the Future talking about token maxing. We're not going to be talking about frontier models. We're not going to be using the word agentic every 5 seconds.
Token maxing has actually reached its limit. The new trend is token minning.
Oh, token minting. Okay.
That's
and,
the new one, minimizing
and how
your
about
tokens.
token hitting myself over the head with a hammer because I can't listen to this crap anymore. So here's the thing. Token maxing, token minting, frontier models, agentic, this XYZ every 5 seconds. People want to show that they're in the know by using the current vernacular. And what's funny is
Remember
that
NFTs?
the vernacular is changing every 5 minutes. My philosophy is ask the right questions, facilitate the right conversations. You're not going to always have the answer. But if we can start talking like this, if we can train our kids to engage in debate, to have intellectual discourse around these issues, to talk to their friends and be like, what do you think about the future of robots and AI? Where's this taking us? It's a great thing. And look, we just did an episode recently on Gen Z. And we talked about the fact that there's so much negativity around the future for Gen Z, but that Gen Z themselves might be coming to this point of awakening where they're starting to rebel against speakers at their commencements talking about AI and the future of jobs. And they're kind of like, listen, this is hypocrisy. Like, you're up there as a billionaire talking to us, like, we're not able to get entry-level jobs. So you know what? F you, dude. And I think that's a good thing. I think we're starting to reach a tipping point where more people are going to have these conversations. And hopefully we can just be one little cog in getting that locomotive going forward. You know?
So here's one little plug again, because we are going to be launching the website this week, wakethefuture.com. And I know in a lot of these, in a lot of these episodes, you know, we speak very broadly. We talk about some of the questions that we have to ask, but on our website, and particularly when you join our newsletter, that's when we get much more granular. That's when every other week you will get action items, tips, a quiz, things that you can actually put into practice at home. So it goes from something that is a little bit more kind of conceptual and even thought-provoking into something that is super actionable, super tangible. We have a couple of workbooks, some fun guides that you can even use to challenge your own thinking. So just make sure to keep checking that site and to sign up for it, and to also subscribe to this channel, because we are going to be pumping much more content out there that we hope is going to be super germane and super usable for all of you.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's an exciting week. So as Erica said, be on the lookout for more information about our site launch. As always, subscribe, like, share, and amplify this. And again, I hope you've enjoyed us talking a little bit more about our mission and why we're doing this. We'll see you soon.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, like, follow, and subscribe to stay ahead of what's next. I'm Erica Orange.
And I'm Jared Weiner. Thanks for waking the future with us. We'll see you next time.